During the World War II era in Germany, some of the crudest anti-Jewish propaganda was conceived. In cartoons, caricatures of Jews depicted them with beady eyes and hooked noses, often dehumanizing the Jews in the eyes of other people. One movie, Eternal Jew, even compared Jews to rats. Others have shown them as vampire bats. Some anti-Jewish propagandists have even depicted them as spiders or snakes. During this time, little concern was given to the Jews' feelings or welfare. Consequently, during World War II, many Jews and others were eventually sent to concentration camps, where many were used as forced labor and many died. Many Jews who survived the ordeal had suffered greatly, their emaciated bodies testifying to man's inhumanity to man. Today, several decades later, it seems that many of the Jewish stereotypes that were once predominant in World War II Germany have once again reappeared, particularly in the Middle East. Some politically incorrect websites in the United States and elsewhere display many such cartoons from the Middle East and beyond. Again, as in the past, Jews are depicted in much the same manner as they were during the Third Reich, compared to rats and vampires. Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon has been depicted as a comical vampire. This video addresses many of the beliefs of those who dislike Jews. This video will attempt to honestly portray what many people believe. Many people erroneously believe that anti-Jewish feelings originated in World War II era Germany with Adolf Hitler. Others, who are more knowledgeable, believe that anti-Jewish antipathy first started under Tsar Nicholas in Russia. However, neither situation is true. Anti-Jewish feelings have existed much longer. Throughout history, many Jews have been forced to leave lands in which they lived. Looking as far back as the Bible's Old Testament, we see a reference to Moses and his Jewish followers being cast out of Egypt, when they were said to have spent 40 years wandering in the desert. While it is unknown if Egypt was the first place from which Jews were expelled, it was hardly the last. Fast forward a couple of thousand years, and we see the Jews were cast out of Israel when a failed insurrection from Bar Kokhba occurred. This resulted in Jews being expelled from Israel, and Jerusalem was renamed as Aelia Capitolina, which occurred in approximately 135 AD. Another millennium after that, sometimes towards the end of the 11th century, Jews were first allowed entrance into England, but that didn't last. In 1290, Jews were expelled from England again. The Jews were not allowed back into England until Lord Cromwell murdered the king. In 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella expelled all Jews from Spain. The reasons given were economic, religious, treachery, and a bizarre occult murder in which some were involved and others reportedly tried to hide. Jews were also banished from parts of France several times. In Italy, Jews were often forced to leave parts of that country at various times too. In times past, Jews have often been attacked, sometimes even burnt at the stake for murder, as in this case. During the time Russia was ruled by Tsars, the Jews were isolated to a quarter known as the Pale of Settlement. Later, even during Stalin's regime, although anti-Semitism became a crime punishable by death, an exclusively Jewish area known as Birobidzhan was set up as a Jewish ghetto, though its residents chose to live there on their own accord. In fact, it is doubtful that there is a country in all Europe from which Jews have not been banished, or at least separated at one time or another. It is well known that many Germans in World War II did not like Jews, although little has ever been made about why. Even in America during the early years, Jews have been strongly disliked. Governor Stuyvesant proposed to expel Jews from New Amsterdam, which later became known as New York. During the Civil War, General Grant briefly gave Jews who had been accused of carpetbagging an order to leave parts of Tennessee. This was later rescinded by President Lincoln. In fact, Jews were not even allowed the right to vote, become attorneys, or hold offices in much of America